closing deals to opening minds. This is the Mr. D Podcast. I'm Omar Andreson, and we're about to get real about real estate, success, and the grit that it takes to build your best life. Let's dive on in. Hey everyone, welcome back again to another episode of the Mr. D Podcast Show. My name is Omar Andreson, and today we are delighted to have Mr. Rhys Santana.
Thank you.
No relation to Santana himself, but he is a dedicated real estate professional here in Orlando. He's passionate about helping buyers and sellers make smart home choices. And he's also, I would say, you also personalize a lot of the service that you do give. And you're very deep within that local market knowledge. So Reese actually guides his clients every step of the way to achieve better living and successful transactions. Reese, thank you so much for being on the show today, brother.
Thank you, Andre. Omar, I'm sorry. It is.
You're good.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. I was getting the nervousness out.
Yeah.
My apologies.
You know what? It's funny you say that. My photographer actually sent me a little 10-minute podcast video about a gentleman who went on a podcast, and mind you, and this guy has like millions of followers. And then he went on another podcast that had millions of followers, and he was saying how nervous he was through the whole experience and all the bad things that he was doing, that he caught himself. He said, listen, if it was actually like a live TV show, he said it probably would have been canceled. So
listen, this is the internet. It lives forever. So
that is true. That is true. Boys and girls, if you're listening to this, make sure you take that into understand that this lives forever. All right, so got to understand some things. So we're going to dive into some real estate questions and get your feedback on what's going on in today's market and possibly where you think the future of the market is going. So one of the things I have to ask is, when it comes to homeownership today, what's your understanding of it?
As far as home ownership goes, I truly believe that it beats out renting in the long run. And the only reason why I can speak to that, I've obviously purchased and sold the house where my wife and I have made decent profit. In an emergency situation, unfortunately, I have to use my dad as an example, who was a 20-year VP for a bank. And then they decided to outsource his department. So even though he was finishing top 3 in his company for a decade and a half, they outsourced. And the fact that he was a homeowner saved him. Yes, he had a severance package and all that, but he was able to actually sell his house, make a 6-figure profit, then turn that into moving into another property that he bought in DeBerry here in the Central Florida market. And at the time, he bought it for $200,000. And now he's probably sitting at, the house is probably worth about $450,000. So
not too shabby.
I really believe that it secures your future. And as far as the best time to buy, I would always say is when you can afford it.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it's one of those things where people ask me that question, should I buy a house? I'm like, I don't know. Should you? And it really comes down to, number one, your financials, because not everyone should always buy a house immediately. I think renting is great because it teaches you the responsibility of home ownership. It teaches the responsibility of paying things on time. And now what I hear is the government that's in right now, they're working on to where if you are a renter, that as long as you're
paying on time,
that you're renting,
yes,
and you're paying everything on time, that's actually going to go towards your credit score.
Yes.
Which I think is huge. It's massive.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, like I said, I don't think everyone should be a buyer, but if you are, then you are when it comes down to it. So what do you think buyers should focus on when they're making this life-changing decision?
I like to educate and coach my clients and say, hey, listen, we want to go to a pretty decent area where the value probably doesn't go down too much, even in a crash. That's very important. And I think it's also important to have an agent that knows what the future holds for said city. A few years ago, I was pushing DeLand, and I know it was land in DeLand because it hadn't been developed yet. However, now DeLand's booming. Downtown DeLand is awesome. There's tons of restaurants, and all that needs to be taken into consideration because that's appreciation. And that's the biggest thing. I truly believe that owning a home can lead you to financial freedom. In 2-3 years, you may appreciate, you get a cash out refi, 75% out of that, and then you can go ahead and buy another property, rent that out. There's plenty of ways to do it. plenty of ways to do it. And there's so many advantages. And don't get me wrong, there are cons. There are cons. You will have to come out of pocket. You can't just call the landlord and say, hey, my AC is not working. No, you got to foot that $5,800 bill or $6,000 bill, whatever it is. But you foot that bill, and now if you have to sell your house, hey, I have a new AC. Those are selling points.
No, I definitely agree. And you know what? As you're talking about buying in areas, one of the things that my mentor first taught me is, Omar, you actually make money when you buy, not when you sell.
100%.
Meaning exactly what you just said. As long as you have that right agent, or even you yourself are studying what's going on within the market, within the area, then you decide where you want to start planting your roots, at least to get you started.
Yes.
Then from there, that's when you'll see that return later on. Obviously, it won't happen overnight, but through a couple years, then all of a sudden you'll see the return. The area starts taking off, and my house that I bought for 150 grand is now worth almost $400,000.
Yeah.
So that is something that
I've seen it plenty of times. I got to Central Florida from Broward County, and I moved to Seminole County in 2010. I moved to Sanford just because I had a job transfer. I had no idea what Sanford was. It wasn't the prettiest place at said time, and now it's the spot. And I was pushing it in 2016 heavy. I loved Sanford, and everyone wanted to be in Lake Mary and Oviedo. And now Sanford is happening. The downtown Sanford is probably one of the best places. You can bring your family, you can bring your dogs. There's a beautiful part of historic Sanford. I'm very proud of Sanford. It's my first city that I moved to when I was here. And I also used to work for the sheriff's office. So shout out to the County Sheriff's Office family.
There you go. Love that. Love that. Yeah, I got to agree with you. Downtown Sanford, I remember one of my friends called me up and they're like, hey, let's go to downtown Sanford. I'm like, downtown Sanford? What?
Yeah.
We went out there. We had a blast. I couldn't believe how much there was to do.
There's a ton.
And what I loved about it, though, unlike downtown Orlando at that time, where all the drunks were everywhere, Sanford was so much bigger, and there's other things. And I didn't see all of that happening like it was in downtown, because downtown Orlando is just a little small populated area. Sanford, I was surprised how big it was downtown, and people were just, everyone was getting
Everyone
along.
picks their spots. Everyone picks their spots. There's a ton of great restaurants. I tend to love Breezeway. They watch my kids grow up and saw me before I got married, after I got married. So it's got a special place in my heart there. The Hollerback Willow Tree is awesome. I can talk about Sanford all day. It's a wonderful place.
That's awesome, man. So let's talk about the biggest thing that's been going on right now in this real estate market, which are the interest rates, right? So how do you help that buyer navigate the market right now that we have when it comes to those interest rates?
Well, there's plenty of options. There's down payment assistance programs. And as far as the interest rates goes, right now, we're seeing a lot of seller concessions where they're offering 3 to 4%, depending on the loan. Sometimes you can get 6. Not likely, but it's possible. And you can use that to buy down your rate. I actually have a client right now that's at FHA, and it's 6.375, which is lower than what I've been seeing, which is typically at that 7.5 mark. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And the thing is, it's like you have to remember that we're buying and marrying the house, not the interest rate. And I know that can be a tough pill to swallow. And it used to be cheaper to pay a mortgage than a rent. Now they're about equal footing. So it's like, hey, do you want to pay 100% interest or invest in yourself? So that's one of the biggest things, is that you got to have an agent that's looking for that value, how we can get this lower, and as well as having a good lender.
Yeah, I would say you hit some pretty good points. You probably scared some people here, though, talking about marriage and a house. But anyway,
we're locking it all down. We're locking it all down.
But no, it's true. And sometimes, like, when I sit there and I speak to the potential buyer that's never bought before, one of the things that we educate them on is understand this is your first home. It's not your dream home. So it's for you to get on the ladder, okay, and start building your wealth, or whatever it is, wherever you see yourself going the next 5 to 10 years. So that's number one. But you've hit some really good key points when it comes to, as of right now, you are 100% correct that you can always buy down that interest rate, number one. And then number two, that interest rate is always going to fluctuate. In fact, so much so that I've been telling buyers, if you're out there right now and you're going wishy-washy Or you're like, I'll wait till next year. And then all of a sudden that house that you were waiting for now is worth 30 to 20 grand more. Listen to me. All right. It's already been said. Right now, the government that's in place said, hey, in 8 months, we are going to drop the rates. And I guarantee when those rates drop, I don't know about you, Reese, but I think it's going to be a frenzy.
It's going to be a madhouse. You're going to bring in probably somewhere between 3 million buyers. One point will bring in about 3 million buyers.
100%. And I'm glad you agree with me, because right now, and by the way, if you haven't bought yet, that time that you've been trying to get some money back, that's gone. Because now right now it's a buyer's market.
Yep.
Once that flips over to a seller's market, guys, you can maybe get a little bit back, but nowhere like Reese is talking about it. We put a client under contract and we got them $35,000 back towards closing costs. I don't think you're going to see that. So listen to me closely. Yeah, if you're on the fence right now, you need to start making a move. Okay.
100%.
And start really narrowing it down and say, okay, I need to buy a place within X amount of time.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And the reason why I agree is because when those interest rates come down and all those buyers, you're bringing in a 3 million or plus possibly to come in, and now you're battling against these people. And I don't know if people remember, not too long ago, sellers were getting 50,000, 75,000 over appraised value. These people that were coming from California, New York, all these much bigger markets, and it was taking out your average home buyer. And that's important to me, being that I was in civil service. Those people work hard, and they deserve to have a house. So you have to be educated on that. I know it's scary. I know it's daunting, but this is why buyer consultations, which I'm always open to. And that's how I start every conversation. It's essentially a consultation so that I can help you map this out. Maybe it's not for you right now. Maybe it's 6 months down the line, but at least you have a plan.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's a perfect segue. So how can those buyers right now overcome the hesitation in today's market? What are you doing?
Educating.
Okay.
That's really it. People fear what they don't know. But if I can show you, hey, this is what's going on. This is the clients that I'm working with. I work very closely with a lender that she's been my lender for 8 years. And we look for credits. We do everything because I don't gain anything by you spending more money. You're not going to tell somebody about me and my service and all the great things that we do if you feel like you didn't get value. We have to bring value. And honestly, I enjoy it. It's where I get my rocks off. Is I got you to save a lot of money.
Yeah. No, you hit the nail on that. Especially by the time this airs, we should be closed. So I'm going to go ahead and disclose it now.
Okay.
So we put a client under contract. And mind you, he worked for the government. He was in civil service himself. He was actually, I can't say what he did, but let's just say that he was a protective detail for presidents and whatnot.
Got it.
So anyways, and a friend of mine, we put him under contract. The house, let's see, I'm not going to tell you what we put it under contract for, but like I said, we got him $35,000 back towards closing. And then all of a sudden the house appraised $30,000 higher.
So that's $65,000. That's what I heard.
Exactly. Yeah. So and this literally just happened yesterday.
I got
the news and I'm like, he called me, he goes, bro, you just made me 65 grand overnight. I'm like, that's awesome. And like you said,
it's the most satisfying part.
Exactly. That's what motivates me to keep on doing what I do. And especially when it's a friend.
Yes,
when
absolutely.
It's a friend, it's even better because a lot of people, and it's funny because some people don't want to, they know that you're a real estate agent and they might not either want to use you for your services to buy or sell because for whatever reason,
they don't want to mix business and pleasure.
Exactly. And listen, I get it. But at the same time, I think you need to be that person that knows how to switch business and friendship off really fast.
Absolutely.
And I'm really good at it. I can literally, like, I had a friend that used to work for me and then it just wasn't working out. We fired him, but you know what? Him and I are still friends. And then it came around full circle. I needed to do some stuff at that time. I wasn't financially stable. He fired me. But you know what? Today we're still friends.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I get that, but you also need to be that person that can switch it on and off.
Yeah.
But man, when one of your friends really relies on you, you could do something like that. The friendship now just got even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to do that with everyone because I've had tons of clients that started out as clients and now they're friends, that they've been friends for years now. We're go have lunch, or I'll get the best is when you get a call or a text 4 or 5 years later that you completely didn't expect. It's, hey, Reese, this is such and such. You helped such and such 4 or 5 years ago, and I was wondering if you could help me out. And I'm like, absolutely, yes.
So I have to ask, were any of those people that came back and used you, did you ever arrest them?
No, but I will sell you a house if you're ready. That means that's great. I remember when you were at the bottom, and now we're here, baby. I get it.
There you go. So if Reese ever did arrest you, understand that you can still call him now, and he will make sure to help you get to that next level and help you buy a house. All right. So no hard feelings whatsoever. I love that.
I'm here for you.
All right. So now we got somebody under contract. Let's talk about making the most of the inspection period. So what are the biggest things that buyers should really watch out for when it comes to the inspection period? And of course, most importantly, the inspection report.
Right. So inspection reports, obviously, most of the time we're dealing with a first-time home buyer. The inspection report is going to look like a disaster to you, because I remember the first time I got someone under contract and I saw the inspection report, I was looking at my mentor and I was like, what is this? I was like, what are we going to do? And he's like, dude, relax. What we're looking for are the big ticket items. There's going to be, oh, there's a crack in the tile and this outlet needs to be changed out. Those are minor things. What we're looking for are the big ticket items. We're looking at piping. We're looking at foundation. We're looking at electrical. And most importantly, the AC in the roof. It's Florida. We can't be messing around without an AC. If not, you're going to die of a heat stroke in your own house. It's mostly the big ticket items that I really look for. And then obviously, depending on the loan, if it's VA, if it's FHA, they're a little bit more strict versus a conventional loan. So for instance, if there's an outlet within, 3.5 feet of the sink, it needs to be a GFCI. They will not let it pass if that's not switched out. So I look for those things. It all depends on the loan, because you have to know what's going on. I've had to go out and paint on a VA loan the outside structure, even though it rains and it's in the elements, a couple pieces of paint chipped off, and I had to go there because they would not go through with the appraisal. That was a setback. As far as the inspection goes, you want to look at those big ticket items and not nickel and dime the seller. And I think it's good to be transparent with them as well, because I always ask for permission from the buyer, because it is their inspection report. I'm like, hey, listen, is it okay if I send them the inspection report just so that they can take care of the big ticket items and be like, hey, listen, there's a lot more stuff going on here. Can we please just handle this stuff?
No, that's very good. And usually, so what we do is, depending on what it is, so you send them the whole report?
Sometimes.
Okay, that's nice of you.
Sometimes.
All right. Yeah, usually what we do is, depending on what items it is, then we'll take that item from the report. We'll submit them like page 10, page 30, page 50, and like, hey, these are the issues that we have. And then when it does come down to when we do get the question, oh, can we have the whole report? You know, like, that's something I got to ask the buyer because they're the one who paid for it. But at the end of the day, we're not worried about the whole report. We're only worried about these items.
These items, exactly.
And this is what we're asking to do. And do you usually try to have them get it fixed, or do you ask more for a concession?
No, if we can get that done, unless we need extra concessions.
Okay.
Because it's really situational. It's not like I come out firing and, hey, here's the whole report. If I get any flack, it's like, hey, we can only take care of this and this. Okay, there's more things in the report. Are you sure? I can send you the whole thing. This is really important to us. Or what we can do is we can get concessions for a couple, but I need these done. So if it's 5 items, give me concessions for 2. Fix 3. It has to work out for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. No, because at the same time, too, the seller understands that, listen, not even homes that are brand new builds, even when they have inspection reports, there's still stuff that comes on there as well.
They fail inspections more than a house that's been there since the 80s.
Exactly. And that's what people need to understand. You're always going to find something there. Yep. Okay, when it comes to that. What questions do you think? I guess number one, are you there with the inspector and the buyer whenever the inspection's going on?
I don't tell the buyers to take off. I don't mind being there. I don't have to be there. I just like knowing what's going on so that if there's any fires to put out, I can put them out. I don't like to hound the inspector because that's also annoying. The guy doesn't want me looking around every time he's doing something. Hey, what's that? Dude, I'm going to give you a report. Can you just let me do my job? Get out the way. But usually I have a pretty good rapport with the inspectors. So it's usually not like that. Half the time I'm talking and just hanging out. But then I can go ahead and start even calling the listing agent. Hey, listen, I just want to let you know, these are a couple of things that I saw. I'll put it on paper, email that to you as soon as I get the report. But I just want you to go ahead and start planting the seed to the seller that these are the things that we're going to be seeing.
Okay. And are there any questions so when you're doing I guess once you go into contract, are there any questions that you already or should every buyer ask their inspector? So what questions should every buyer ask their inspector? Do you have general questions like, hey, this is what you should ask the inspector?
The reason why I don't do that is because that's where my value comes in. Most buyers are not they're not very knowledgeable on what they're looking for. So they're relying on me to do that. So I don't even put that pressure on them.
Okay.
However, if they do have questions, I will go ahead and address them.
Okay. I like that. So starting this year, I think everyone's heard about the NAR rule. So when it comes to buyer brokerage agreements, which I have some things to say about that.
Most people should have those.
Yeah.
I learned that very early in my career.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So which is why I had them.
All right. So how do you, when it comes to talking to the buyer, when you're doing the presentation, how do you bring up the buyer broker agreement?
I just let them know it's transparency. Hey, this is our commitment to each other. I now have a fiduciary obligation to work in your best interest. And now I'm legally obligated. This can cost me my license. So it would behoove me to do the best job that I can. And then it also allows for, and I'll be honest, I'd like some loyalty too, because everything I do for you is on the house until we close. And it's not you that's paying me. It's the seller. And I think that's another misconception where we have this terrible reputation for whatever reason. And no disrespect to car salesmen, but they think that we're like selling snake oil. And it's not that at all. I'm literally working for you until this closes. So those late night texts, the late night researches, the emails, the calls that sometimes you get a buyer who's a nervous wreck and needs their handheld. I'm answering calls 9:30, 10 o'clock. I don't really want to, right? That's time that I spend with my daughter or whatever the case may be and my family. But hey, listen, my job is to put out fires and ease your mind. I got this.
All right. So you go into contract. How much are you charging your buyer, by the way? And you don't have to use your real number. You can make one up in the air.
Charging as what?
On the buyer brokerage agreement, how much are you charging?
Honestly, I don't even bother with it. Because once they sign that, I feel like they've already committed.
No, if you're listening, he did not say that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
$5.99.
All right. So here, I'll say it this way.
Okay.
All right. So if you sign a CI agreement, usually what we'll do is, okay, the buyer brokerage agreement, we're going to say that we're going to charge you 3%. Okay. So now let's say, Reese, you're charging 3%. And obviously that's when you have the conversation with them and say, listen, I'm charging 3%. I've seen the conversation go two ways. I've seen the conversation go, number one, this way. Listen, my services are 3%. Okay. But I am going to submit a form whenever we submit the contract for the seller to help cover that 3%. That's conversation number one. Help cover the 3%. But if they only give me 2.5, then you know what? Because remember, in buyer brokerage agreements, you can go down. You can't go up. Correct. So that's why you don't want
start at 3.
That's why you don't want 0, because then you can't go up from 0. Then you just rule it out. I have other agents that said, I charge 3%. And if that I'm going to ask 3% from that seller. But if the seller only gives me 2.5%, then guess what? Great news for you, because now you only have to pay me 0.5%. So I've seen both spectrums on there, and I get it. So that's why. But the thing that really upsets me,
I think I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
You know, and I guess NAR now removed that. NAR came in and they did what they did, and now we can't show anything on the MLS. Even though it was always on the MLS, they would sign 2%, 2.5%, mind you. And it's
never set in stone.
Yeah, it's nothing's ever set in stone. It's always negotiable. Always has been from day one, by the way.
Absolutely.
Day one. And then now all of a sudden, like some agents will call and I'm like, yeah, they're offering you 2%. well, why only 2%? What do you mean why only? Because that's what they said they're going to give you. Can they give me more? I'm like, you can ask for more when you
Yeah.
submit your offer, and then we can go from there.
Just put it on.
I said, just put it on there. I said, but I can't guarantee it. But I said, put it on there, and that's up to the seller to decide
Correct.
whether or not to give you more. And more likely, it'll be based on the offer. So we had, like, I had an issue. We had this particular buyer's agent. And I said, listen, if you're coming in at that price, I already know that
You're not getting that 3%.
I know that. Right. I said, but put it on there anyways. But listen, they're not going to do it. I already know, but she might not. Long story short, they signed the agreement. They crossed out his percentage that he wanted. And they put in what I told them they would do because his did come in lower. And then, of course, they signed everything else and they initialed that. And then I sent everything back to him. This guy absolutely lost it. He lost it. I'm like, I said, what are you mad about? He's like, because I asked for 2.5 and they're only giving me 2%. I'm like, I told you they were going to do that. I said, and your offer was a lot lower than the listing price. So they just crossed out, they initiated it, and then they signed the offer. I said, but I told you that. I told you up front to expect that. And to me right now, it seems like a lot of agents out there, and I think one of the reasons why this came up is because protecting your client, right?
That's the name of the game.
And not being, I hate using this word, but greedy. And it's still happening now. So what the hell is the difference? It's still happening now. In fact, I'm dealing with it more now than any other time. They're literally arguing with me. Listen, I said, put it on there. It's not a set price. It's up to them.
Anytime I send that, seller to pay 3%.
Yeah.
If that changes later, okay, no problem.
Exactly. And to me, it's even worse now. So
it's at that 0.5 is really not making or breaking you. The point is for us to we have to get to the table. There's been times where I've gotten to 3% and I said, hey, listen, I'll give you 0.5s to cover the rest of your closing costs for my buyer.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I just don't get it. I really don't get it. And I don't know. I guess it's one of those kind of watch what's going to step, because I got a feeling something else will come up soon about this, because I'm sick and tired of freaking buyer's agents just losing it because
I don't know what stories they're telling themselves, especially, I mean, because it's not like anything's really changed.
No, nothing has changed except, this one here though. So there was a lady who calls me and says, listen, I'm going to show your listing, but she didn't do it at that time yet. And then I guess somehow, which I didn't know that it was her buyer, by the way, somehow the buyer then found our number. Of course they would find it because I'm the listing agent.
Right.
So they called us, we set up the showing, and before we set up the showing, like we always ask, all right, are you working with a real estate agent?
Of course.
No, I'm not. Okay. So you have not signed anything saying that you're represented by somebody, correct? Correct. Okay, perfect. Sure enough, that buyer moves forward, writes a contract. Obviously, then that's before we show that property, we have them sign a buyer brokerage agreement with us. And then all of a sudden I get an angry phone call from an agent. She's like, you put my client under contract. I'm like, I don't know who your client is.
Right.
And then all of a sudden went into this rant. I'm like, I said, well, listen, I said, I want to make sure we protect you. Send me over the buyer brokerage agreement that they signed. Oh, they didn't sign one.
Oh, then that's not your client.
I guess that's not your client then. And she just kept on going on and on. I said, listen, I said, I would love to help you, but I said, you didn't do what you were trained. Well, I don't know if you were trained,
but what you should be doing.
To be doing.
Right.
So how is that my fault? I asked the questions. I protected myself. I papered up. You didn't paper up.
Here's the thing. If she would have told you, yes, I'd signed a buyer brokerage agreement, I'm sure you would have been like, okay, what we can do is we can go ahead and get in contact with your agent and let her draft up, or him draft up, the offer and the contract. We like it. And let's see if we can make it work.
Yeah. And in fact, I'm going through it right now again. I went to one of our listings and I was just checking as I was in the area. And this guy goes, oh, hey, yeah, I'm going to be writing an offer on it in a couple of days. I'm like, oh, okay, great. He goes, and he's funny how he goes, has my agent reached out to you? I said, no. I said, so are you selling? He goes, no. I'm like, oh, okay, because we just accepted an offer this morning. He said, oh, he goes, my agent didn't tell me that. He goes, I'm like, all right, sorry to hear that. And then he started talking to me more. Come to find out, even though he's calling her his agent, he hasn't even signed a buyer brokerage agreement with him yet.
Right.
And then he said, if the property falls through, here's my number. contact me directly. I'm not going to sign anything or make an offer on anything else or even sign a BBA with anybody else until you call me. Because he felt as if that his real estate agent didn't do their job by reaching out to me. And then also too, I guess he didn't get
there's a little bit of truth on both sides.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where listen, it's a tricky situation
and
right now.
That's why you have to have buyer consultations.
Yeah, but no, it's right. That's why you do need that. Important. Yeah, because when you sit down and have that consultation with them, whether you're a buyer or a seller, you're being upfront and honest. You're walking them through the path that they're about to take.
Yeah,
and the do's and don't do's, because some of these people don't know this. In fact, this is one thing that he said. I haven't bought a house in 20 years. I'm like,
those are the fun ones.
Yeah, I'm like, things have changed in so many ways.
When I bought my house for $4 20 years ago,
interest rates was at 18%, but
back in my day,
that's different. But yeah, so I'm waiting for this one now to pop. I'm waiting for this one to pop because I'm like, oh, here we go. It's going to happen again. He said he wanted to write an offer. We'll see. I sent him the buyer brokerage agreement out because he said he did not sign anything.
Okay.
So we'll see. And I told him up front, I said, listen, the property's going to go back on the market. If you don't feel comfortable signing anything, then don't sign anything. I said, I'm not gonna push you. I said, but I already know the property's going to go back under contract here soon. But at the end of the day, if you don't feel comfortable signing anything, or if you want to meet face to face again, you let me know.
Right.
I said, and then we can go from there. If you want to go back and engage that other real estate agent and have them sign BBA, then that's completely up to you. It is your decision who you want to represent.
It's your world.
You know, at the end of the day, I just want to be upfront and honest with you from day one.
It's better off that way for everyone.
No, I agree, man. And I just feel like these BBAs are just, even though they've been there forever, now all of a sudden every agent is looking at it like it's some kind of alien life form that just got introduced into the business out of freaking nowhere, where other states have been doing it forever. Commercial agents and land developments agents have been using them for a long time. So I just don't get it. And maybe I never will. And it's okay, whatever. The laws are it's black and white. What to do, what not to do. Definitely don't put it at 0%, boys and girls. So when you do start at 3 or 5 or whatever it may be, when it comes down to it, it really depends on which way your client's going. Because don't forget, what if your client wants to go all of a sudden new build? Some of the new builders now offer anywhere between 5 to 10% commission.
That's true. That's true.
You have to be careful. So just make sure that you navigate that precisely. Make sure that you speak to your broker and make sure you understand what you're doing.
Right. Absolutely.
Especially when you understand where the seller wants to go, because you don't want to leave.
You don't want to leave money on the table.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, look at us.
Jinxed.
Look at us.
Twice. Cheers to that.
Salute.
So let's talk about some time frames during a transaction.
Okay.
What milestone do you think most buyers and sellers understand, or not which milestones they should understand?
We'll take a standard 30-day contract, and the first timeline that you want to monitor is your escrow, which has to be applied within the first 3 business days. If not, the seller can go, we're done here, unless you file an extension for the escrow for whatever reason, but that has to be done prior to that. If not, you're no longer on the contract, or the seller can choose to be like, hey, we're moving on.
Yeah.
But I've seen it happen where they didn't get escrow in time, and then they had received an offer after the one that they went under contract that was actually better, but they kept this one. So you didn't apply that. I'm coming to get that other contract. They're not leaving money on the table. Your agent should be monitoring that and keeping you well aware, in contact with title. The next one I would say is the inspection period. That's where you can ask for some more goodies, and it's not even just asking for goodies. What happens if you get the inspection and we're like, oh, this is a nightmare? We have the opportunity to back out and say, hey, listen, we're good on this. Here's a release and cancellation, and you can get your escrow back, and we're back to square one and looking at houses again. And then obviously the loan commitment. So I like to have mine done somewhere between 20 and 25 days. So I work very closely with my lender. Hey, what's going on? Did we get the verification of employment? All this good jazz, because with our TRID guidelines, we need at least 3 business days prior to closing that they can look over their paperwork. So those are probably the ones that I focus on the most.
No, those are good ones. And this is one thing I always tell our people too, is understand that when it comes to the escrow period, If it falls on a holiday, that does not count because obviously the
Mhm.
banks are closed. Okay.
Right.
Which some agents on the other side forget. And then also, too, that if the inspection day falls on a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, it carries over to the next business day.
Correct.
So those are some key factors there that anyone listening, if you're a buyer or even
Gems.
if you're a seller too,
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah.
Because that right there, because all of a sudden we don't want you to just go ape shit crazy
Yeah.
and then go, oh, I'm out of contract. And then you do something that probably costs you more money. But understand that when it comes to the,
Absolutely.
at least the FAR bar here in Florida. I don't know if you're listening from another state. I do not know anything else about other states. A little bit, not too much. As far as we're talking about Florida contracts.
Florida.
Here. That's it. So understand that. All right. And I guess we talked about this. So now I just said that because I think knowing those time frames could definitely help you reduce that stress a little bit. But I don't know.
It's like little milestones.
Yeah, it is.
So once you get past this stage and when we get to this stage, it's always helpful to have that plan laid out. And it's something I do in my buyer consultation. I bust out a piece of paper and I write it old school. I write it down and I'm like, hey, so here's a standard 30-day contract. Here's this. And I write everything down.
I love it.
And then I let them take it with them.
Yeah.
So anytime that they have any questions, okay, yeah, this is what we discussed. And if you look back at the paper, boom, boom, this is what it is.
You know what, man, Reese, you just said a little gold nugget there. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but in today's world, I think communication is key.
Absolutely.
And when it comes down to it, it's like after you're done with that buyer consultation, I think then what you should do, number one, you can now pretty much record it, and then AI will just put it in writing for you, in writing, but like in a Word document. And then you can just boop, just hit send and say, hey, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Seller, whatever it is, here is everything that we just covered in detail, because people get amnesia a lot.
Selective amnesia.
Very much so.
Selective.
So I
it's
would
very
say,
important.
Yeah. So I would say, guys, girls, whoever's listening, please make sure that you guys, after you have that consultation, seller or buyer, you make sure that you follow it up and put it in writing to protect yourself, because amnesia happens a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And it makes you look so much more professional as well. At the end of the day, is, whoa, wow, okay, I just got a full report of everything that was talked about. And because half of the time, even when I have people sign certain things for initial, oh, I don't remember that. I'm like, oh, it was actually right here. But I get it, because you know what? Going through the process of looking at homes, or you looking at homes, sometimes you're looking at, they start looking alike when you're looking at 30, 40, 50 homes.
Addresses mesh.
Yeah.
It happens.
Everything just mixes together. So I get it, because buying a house is not fun.
It could be stressful for someone that,
It is
you know, I don't feel like it's stressful. Like, that's our job. We take the stress from that.
I just bought a house recently, and me and my wife, we fought about it for about 2 months before, and finally
But that's the stressful part in our job, is that we have to play psychologist too.
I'm a horrible psychologist when it comes to my wife.
And talk people off the ledge constantly.
Yeah.
Especially when they're talking to their parents or their grandparents who bought many years ago. And they're like, my mom said, I was like, your mom's not in real estate. So.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. We've had that as well. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. It's always fun. Yeah. I'm like, your mom and dad have bought something years ago, or, yeah. Anyways, we digress.
Like, okay. Since you know it all, why am I here? You should have just had your mom help you.
100%. All right. Just 2 more questions for you before we wrap this up.
All right.
What warning signs should buyers never, ever ignore?
I like to pay attention to neighborhoods, just being a family man. I recommend driving on the weekend and in the evening, just to scope things out. I was in law enforcement. I have 2 kids. I have a wife, and safety is very important to me. So keep an eye out for that. If you see things that don't look right, it's okay to move on. Another thing is stay away from impulsive and emotional decisions, because those are the ones that are going to cost you. You end up falling in love with said house, and it's either going to be too expensive sometimes. And my job is to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. So sometimes I'm not going to be your favorite. And that is also in my buyer consultation. I tell everyone that, hey, I'm not always going to be your favorite guy. Please don't be upset with me. I'm only doing it to look out for you. And the reason why I do that is because myself, I have to let myself go through the emotions, because I'm emotional, I'm impulsive. But when it comes to helping others, it's easy for me to step back and go, oh, we can get more value somewhere else. So they shouldn't ignore the neighborhood. Please avoid emotional decisions. And then don't avoid structural stuff. And don't be afraid to ask questions. That's another thing. Sometimes buyers shell up, and then you'll find out at the closing table, I wondered about this, but I didn't ask. Why wouldn't you ask? Please ask away. That is our job. Ask away.
Some really good points there. One that I would add is drive by the neighborhood after there's some heavy storm comes through or a hurricane. Drive through the neighborhood again.
Yep.
See what it's like.
See if they're helping each other.
There's flooding. Yeah, they're helping each other. There's electric out.
How long does it take?
Things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely do that.
And we definitely have to take care of that here in Florida, because being without power 16 days, 20 days is rough.
Very
when hurricane, what was that? I was living in Broward at the time, and Katrina came through, and then right after that, Wilma.
Oh.
It was in like August. It was rough down south. I remember I would leave the house and I would go play basketball, and then I would come back, and I left my bathroom light on purpose because you can see the backside of the house from the road. And I'm like, no, it's still not on. And then one day I was so like, I'm not even gonna look. And it was like dark, and I was like, is that my light? Oh, it was glorious. It was glorious. No more cold showers.
No, yeah.
No more. No AC.
Yeah, like I said, it's a good point to go by to see those houses when it's that. And another one, you hit a very good point. Don't, just because if you do something impulsive, don't, because then all of a sudden, now let's say you get this house that you really want, but now you're house poor. Are you really going to enjoy the house?
And that is where I tell you, I'm not going to be your favorite.
Yeah.
I'm always, if you're telling me this is the top of your budget and we're touching the top of your budget, I'm like, you don't want to do this. All the stuff that you get to do now, go out with your friends and maybe do some extra stuff with the kids, you're running thin, and prices of everything are up. We're trying to save money everywhere we can.
Yep.
So
100%.
Being at the top of the budget, I don't recommend it for anybody unless you have some other secondary source of income that's coming and is guaranteed. I recommend that you stay away from that.
No, good point. Good point. All right, last question. If you could just leave just one deed behind, one action, mindset, or even a lesson for every single person that's listening, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're a professional real estate agent listening today, what would it be?
Don't stop. We all go through trials and tribulations. And that moment that you're willing to quit, that's when it's time to hit the gas. Get through it. It sucks. I know. Listen, I throw pity parties for myself too. Everybody has things going on. Keep pushing.
Love that, man. Love that. And I think that's very valued information, because I think everyone has their challenges, and there's that time that you want to quit. And yeah, you just got to do something just to pick your ass back up and keep on going, man. I love that.
And I get it. Listen, there's days where you want to quit. It's okay to throw a fit.
Yeah.
It's okay to be upset. It's not okay to stay there.
No, love it, man. Reese, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today, man. So many great nuggets.
Thank you so much, brother.
I love the compassion that you had. You could really tell that you make that buyer or seller comfortable working with you, and you're upfront and honest with them in the beginning, which I think is key by far. So guys, if you're looking for an agent that is compassionate, that's upfront and honest with you,
I know
his details are going to be right here, right below, right there. Contact him, reach out to him.
Yes, please do.
Until then, guys, please don't forget, actions build empires. Stay focused, stay hungry, and give life a whammo. It's Omar Andreson. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mr. D Show. Cheers.
Omar,
have a great one.
I'm sorry. Can I step in? I would be remiss if I did not say shout out to my daughter, Hayden. Please and subscribe to the Mr. D Podcast. She wanted me to say that.
Oh, so I love that.
She's a sweetie.
Let's have her on the
Love
show.
you, Pumpkin.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
This is Omar Andreson signing off and reminding you that success in real estate and in life is built one deed at a time. Until next time, keep it real, stay sharp, and don't forget to give life a big whammo and keep moving forward.